You know, anyone with a lick of sense knows that when Donald Trump and his Republican sycophants accuse Democrats of doing something is really a confession of what Donald Trump and his Republican sycophants have already done. And a good example of that is this issue about Mark Kelly and 5 other Democrats in Congress. Apparently 6 people that didn't have bone spurs because they served in the military and in the intelligence community. They put out a video advising U.S. service members that they had no duty to obey unlawful orders. And if you've been following the controversy about the bombing of boats off the coast of Venezuela, that's good advice. Well, Trump pitched a fit and so did his sycophants, and they said this was seditious behavior and these people should be prosecuted and hung for what they said. Well, let's go back a year. The case on presidential immunity where President Trump was trying to avoid accountability for his own actions was making its way through the courts. And the issue came up about, well, what would happen if a president ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill his political rivals? Well, when the case got to the Supreme Court, in March of 2024, Pam Bondi submitted a brief to the court on that very issue. And in it she said, and I quote, "Any presidential orders to use lethal force without legal justification would be an order calling for the commission of a grave felony crime. And any military officers who knowingly issued or carried out such an unlawful order would themselves be criminally liable." And if you want to see it, her brief is available online and you can read the whole thing, where she essentially repeats what Mark Kelly and the others said in their video. Well, a month later, in April of 2024, when the case was argued before the Supreme Court, Justice Samuel Alito, who actually served in the Army, said, and I quote, "Military officers are bound by the Uniform Code of Military Justice not to obey unlawful orders." And Pete Hegseth, back in 2016, when he was in his natural element as a host at Fox News, when Trump was running for office the first time, said on air that U.S. military members are not to obey unlawful orders. So Republicans say it, and it's no big deal. Democrats say the same thing, and they need to be executed for what they said. And another example is this issue of mortgage fraud. They tried to prosecute Letitia James for buying a second home in Virginia and getting a mortgage in which she said that it was going to be her principal residence. There are others that the Trump administration is going after, like Adam Schiff and others of his political opponents, where they're trying to get them for mortgage fraud for doing essentially the same thing. There's an article in ProPublica that talks about Donald Trump. And in 1993, in December of 1993, in January of 1994, Donald Trump bought 2 houses down in Florida. At the time, Trump was living up in Trump Tower up in New York City. He bought 2 houses in Florida, and he took out 2 loans from Morgan Stanley. And again, they're available online if you want to look at them. You can see his audacious signature on the loan documents. And in paragraph 6 of both loans, it states that the borrower, Donald Trump, within 60 days of signing the document, would move into the property as his principal residence and maintain it as his principal residence for not less than 1 year. Well, it's crystal clear if you read the article, Donald Trump never lived in either one of these houses. Trump does it and it's good business sense, but a Democrat does it and it's a potential felony that needs to be prosecuted in federal court. So if you're getting distracted by these issues about mortgage fraud and about unlawful orders, if you're buying what Trump's selling, then you're exactly as stupid as Donald Trump hoped.